YouTube, what is going on? Theo Bean here, and today we are going to be talking about something that is a little bit different. I was actually intending to make this video a while back, but with the drop of 2.0, now is actually the perfect time. We're going to essentially be talking about how to set up your account for success, especially when it comes to banners and controlling the most important resource that you have. That is going to be our gems, essentially our resource for pulling, right? Our meta jewels, I should say, and our tickets. So with the release of 2.0, we have a Cord here, who is one of the most coveted characters in the game. And with that here, I'm going to make a quick switch here to this screen here. This is essentially a list of all the characters that are coming out and what we can expect. Before we go through that, quick disclaimer. If you are worried about spoilers for characters, then I would turn away now. Without further ado, everything like this has already been revealed, so this really isn't a secret, but let's talk about it. So one of the best things you can do is, when it comes to a gacha, the resources you have to pull with are extremely limited, and they are the most important thing you have. You can really set yourself up for success, or you can pretty much brick an account by just spending money and just kind of wasting pulls without a real plan in place. So when it comes to pulling for characters, there's several things to take into account. Essentially, one, if the character is meta, if the character is good, will the character help you? Two, how that character plays into your account and what you need. And three, which is probably the most important one, pulling for the characters that you want. So going through here with the release of 2.0, we have Cord here. Rico is added into the game, who is a free 4-star character. Then we have quite a few pretty enticing characters coming up, which is going to be pretty big for us. So with this, right, we do get a ton of resources with the release of 2.0, which is fantastic, but you might still need to consider who you pick and choose when it comes to who you're pulling for. So let's talk about it. So especially if you are starting the game now, or even if you're currently playing, this applies to you regardless. So for me, but I'm recording this before I even start my Cord pulls for that reason. I will be pulling for Cord today and for her weapon. She's extremely powerful buffing unit. She is very relevant in the meta, I think, in Sanity W even today. But with that, we also have some really good characters coming up here as well. That being Summer Closer, Summer Moko, or Summer Motoha, Summer Tomoko. We have Kira. And then we have Futaba. So these are our next couple banners, and these are some pretty big ones. So talking about it, here's what my personal plans are. After pulling for Queen or Makoto, my plan was to save up and pull for Cord, get her in her weapon. Because of Cord, she is actually the reason why I stopped pulling for Queen's weapon when I did. I'm 15 pulls off from Pity, so hopefully we hit today. We'll find out. But essentially, Cord and her weapon is better than her A1, which is why I essentially stopped. I said, you know what, let's not risk it. Her weapon's more important than Makoto's, even though I would very much like it. Next, we have, right, what I'm taking into account is the characters coming up. We have the next two, which is going to be Summer Closer as well as Summer Moko. And these characters are really going to change based off what you have, right? So let's look at Motoha, for instance. She's our first blessed DPS character. She's a blessed sweeper, and she could be really good or just okay based off what you have. Disclaimer, I'm not saying she's bad or anything at all. She's actually supposed to be very good. But with her, if you do have somebody like Marion, for instance, who is somebody that I skipped considering I decided to wait till she is on standard, having Marion will make Closer even better, right? When it comes to building a blessed team. One thing to consider with this is essentially like when you're putting teams together, things like the Velvet Trials, things like that. That's essentially the main content that we're looking to clear through, especially as we're still very on in the game. Even though we're technically in 2.0, building out different comps to clear these different levels and get as far ahead as we can. Especially if we're to the point like I am. I'm currently level 73 for my Wonder. We're to the point where people are in their 70s and they're just now hitting 80. So people are starting to push that later game the later tier content in the game, right? As we continue that, right? So we're kind of taking into account what we have versus what we need. So for me personally, I am most likely going to skip Closer, because when I don't have Marion, at least for now, and we're going to be waiting a little bit until we get them, I am personally most likely going to be pulling for Moko, because I do plan on getting Haru in the future. So after Futaba, we have Masaki here, and then Haru. Haru is supposed to be an extremely good character. With the rate that Global is going, all these characters are getting buffs as well. From my understanding, she is still very relevant to the meta today, and if she gets buffed, she'll be even better. Being that she is also best paired with Tomoko, which is why I am going to pull for her, since I am also planning to pull for Noir. Next we have is Kira. Kira is a very interesting character. He's a physical build, but he is all about his bleeds. His bleeds essentially act as almighty damage. He has a pretty cool kit. His character design is cool. I'm personally going to skip him. Considering we already have a physical DPS like Ryuji, I do have one Ryuji already. I still have to finish building him. I'm still trying to finish getting everybody up to 80 along with their weapons. And then we have Futaba, who is pretty much considered like the next must pull because of her weakness implant ability that she has, which is extremely broken. That just kind of makes, you know, it's like that meme of just fitting the same different colored or size peg into the square hole no matter what. No matter the weaknesses, she says, don't worry about it, I got you. Gives that enemy that weakness. So makes her pretty universal for things like that. She's supposed to be one of the best navigators until I think we get to around 3.0 or 4.0. So I will essentially be pulling for her. And then I honestly don't know much about Cherish. He is going to be our second Ice Guardian. We technically, sorry, Fox is a sweeper, not a guardian, but he kind of acts like a guardian in a sense. And then, like I said, I'll be pulling for Nor. And then for here, I'm not sure what my plans are after that. I do not know. We have Mont here, and then we have Howler, who I do want to get. But again, Howler is going to be a non-limited character. She will be getting added to standard. From my understanding, she is extremely good fire saboteur. She will pair perfectly with somebody like An, who is our sole fire character that we will have essentially until Howler comes out. So from there, I'm not going to worry about anything going forward. We're getting into 3.0, things like that. Right, so sticking through the rest of 2.0, we'll get a lot of content and stuff, a lot of resources for that. So that's kind of my plan, and breaking that down, it essentially just comes down to what I have versus what I want. I'm going to be pulling for Moko, and that's really just because I want Noir. And then I also want Futaba just because she's really broken. The things I really take into consideration is just one, how good the character is and how much I want them. I like Noir, I like Haru just because she's, you know, she's beauty thief, she's hilarious. I do like having the original Phantom Thieves. I mean, this is Persona 5X. It's all about the original Phantom Thieves, right? I pretty much have all of actually Dawn Morgana, and I did skip Fox. But I am glad I pulled for Queen, and I'm excited for Cord. So, but I just want to give you guys a general idea of things to consider when it comes to characters and things like that. So before you go through and ripping through everything, think about what you want to do in the future and what's coming up. That said too, with the release of 2.0, we're getting a ton of resources, so you can go kind of crazy right now. As somebody who's just spending a little bit of money here and there, I think I'm spending like $5. I'm just buying the daily gems that you get. That's it. I'm not really spending much on gems. I'm just getting that essentially each day, or essentially the crystals, what they're called. That is essentially my plan, right? So I'm sitting at 36. I was sitting below this when Makoto came out, and we are back up to 36 again, plus 17. So we're in a very, very good spot, just because ever since my last pull video, I completely stopped. I've not made any more pulls since then. So we will continue where we left off, right? So from that last video, as you can see, these are the exact same. So that's my plan. and we're going to be going forward with that. So still saving my standards as well until we get Marion, as well as I'm blanking on the navigator's name. She's literally right here, Yumi. So we're waiting on those two. But with that is going to be it, guys. Hopefully that gave you guys some insight into what to consider when pulling for and what to do with your counts. What's good about this information is this applies literally to any gacha, period. These resources will always be the most limited and the most important. How you use them is important, so don't just go wasting them. I think too, another good piece of advice I would say is, if you are considered free to play or you're spending little money, having characters more so than going through their awarenesses or constellations, things like that, is more important. So besides too, if you're worried about how good your account is, at the end of the day, unless you're a whale, it really doesn't matter. You'll never be able to compete with somebody like that, because there's people that have like everybody's maxed awareness, maxed out weapons. So, and no matter how good you may be at the game, that will always trump just spending money in a gacha. That's just the way it is, unfortunately. That is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, if you like the advice, if you feel like it helps you or something to consider, please let me know in the comments. I'd actually really appreciate it. This is something that's, like I said, applied to every gacha and has helped me really succeed and have good accounts. I've really always had success, and I think it's just because I'm smart about how I use my stuff. So that is it, guys. I will see you guys in the next one. Until then, peace and deuces. See ya.